is when you have a heart attack, when you're waiting for your bow, whether it's going to come in or not. Alright, well, made it to North Dakota, but I'm going to be meeting up with Pat and Dan. I'll probably be there in about over 2 hours. Neither of them has been able to spot a whitetail buck yet. They've spotted every other kind of animal you can think of, even a bighorn ring, bull elk. Got some great footage Dan did the other night of some bull elk playing in the water and just cooling off and sparring. And you've been seeing everything. Pronghorn, mule deer, coyotes. So I'm hoping maybe tonight I'll bring some luck and we'll see a whitetail buck tonight. That would be nice. Getting settled in at the cabin, we decided to head out and have an evening night of glassing. Besides seeing some really awesome animals, including the elk down the river again, we were able to get some photos of a beautiful sunset that night. Just a great night of scouting. On opening morning, we decided to split up, and Pat and I went back to the spot we glassed the night before. We saw a few deer down by the river and a few elk in the morning as well, and then finally laid eyes on our first whitetail bucks.
Kevin, this is freaking amazing. On opening morning, we're going to see where they bed.
Dude, I got some good footage of him. Oh, I just got him jumping over the fence. Yeah, I got him. I'm filming him right now.
This is good footage.
I want to see if that the mule deer stands up. Oh, I got good footage of him right now eating bushes. He's wide, Jesus.
Yeah, he's very wide.
I just got great footage of him walking across there. Yeah. Hey Pat, what you got to say for yourself? You pumped up now?
Yeah. Opening morning.
Can't hunt till noon in North Dakota. We've been pretty discouraged all week. Eyes on the whitetail bucks, 3 of them. One's bedded right in there.
Seeing lots of muleys, seeing lots of elk, but no whitetail bucks until today.
Pretty awesome. Saw a lot of freaking animals this morning.
Not only that, they're set up perfectly with our wind for us to play.
After seeing where these 3 bucks bedded, we went back to camp to come up with a plan for the afternoon hunt. Then Dan and I went out and we shot our bows into one of the hay bales just to make sure that our bows were still on. And then we went back, got something to eat, and we got ready for the evening hunt.
Alright. It's opening day of bow hunting whitetail season in North Dakota. And it's hot. There's a run that comes right along these trees. And then there's kind of a little funnel here with sets of trees. Hoping they'll come down here. There's a run that goes right under here.
So our plan for the afternoon almost paid off, as Dan had one of the 3 bucks come within 40 yards of his tree stand before the wind shifted on him. The morning of day 2 was kind of uneventful. Pat and myself went to Glass, a new area, and we saw maybe some mule deer. I saw a coyote, but not much else. It was a pretty area, but did not see any whitetail deer. We came back to the camp later in the morning, had some lunch. We talked with the ranch owner for a bit, and then came up with a plan for the afternoon.
Had I not driven right basically on top of them,
Yeah.
they didn't ever move. I didn't ever know they were there.
I think we should.
100 degrees.
Yay!
I don't think it's gonna get hot till later.
Dude, they're fast.
Look how fast those things are running. That's why they're called speed goats. Trying to see through all the dead bugs on your windshield. Man, are they fast. This wind is nice though. Hey Pat, you ready? Round 2. Is that
About a
from-
mile and a half or so.
Yeah, a mile and a half walk ahead. At least it's not hot out, thank God. That's where we're glassing from the other couple of days right up in there. That's going swimming.
Okay, so this is our plan for tonight. We're going to be on top of this basin, this draw, and there's a bunch of fingers that go up it. Over here, there's lots of thick bedding that goes way down in there. The wind is blowing this way perfectly, so wind is blowing left to right. We're going to go up the right side here, get up on top, and just work our way that way towards, there's a cornfield over there. There's also more draws that go on the back side.
So here's the scenario. I'm hiding in the edge of a cornfield
these deer are going into. Right in front of me, I made a little blind right here with the corn because I stood out. I'm pretty sure it's staying open to swept in. And I'm hoping the deer are gonna come up out of that. There's a draw right there. There's 2 draws right there. And I'm hoping they're gonna come up and come into this corn. I can get a shot without seeing me sitting here. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. No other place for me to sit and wait for them to come up here. There's just no trees up here at all. Not even a bush. That buck was right over there. What a night, but I'm gonna kill myself, dude. Because they came right back in on a little drop and went down. And stuff. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff down the valley, but I was looking at both the draws. And on my way back, I was glassing out the door that was right in front of you. Oh, you did see that one? She was right there. I was just watching her, and then I dropped the of day 3, we decided to glass an area called Pretty Bottom from 2 different angles. We did see a lot of deer come out of the cornfield, but did not confirm any whitetail bucks. However, we got some amazing footage of 2 different sets of elk. The first set was just below Dan and myself as we were glassing, just below our cliff. And then later we spotted a bunch of elk coming out of the cornfield that made their way all the way down below us to the river. That's a nice bull. That is cool. Those are 2 big boys. You can hear it. On our way out back to the truck, we walked up on these 2 bighorn rams for the second time, as well as a group of pronghorn that were hanging out right by the truck. It's a pretty cool morning.
Has his sights set on number 18 this week with Cardi Bug.
Alright, well, it is night number 3. It's Sunday night. I think today is the 4th, I think. And we're back up in the same field we were, except there's 3 of us this time, spread out. And last night I was sitting
just in the cornfield right over there, my little blind. And that doe came out here. The wind is totally different tonight. Gotta try and get out, and this is the only food source we know of, so. There's a draw behind me, and I hope they're not coming out of there because my wind's going right in that direction, so. Last night we were running down the trail to get out in the dark, and Pat was in front of me and he hit the brakes. And boom, there was a rattlesnake standing right in the path. That was pretty sketchy. We'll see what happens. So it's 100 degrees right now. Yeah, 100 degrees. I should probably show my little blind, so I just got that in case they sneak up behind me a little bit here. And then this is the bush I'm hiding behind right here. Hoping they're gonna come right up out of that draw. So.
The next morning, Dan and myself went to 2 new spots, to Glass, whereas Pat went to the same place we were the night before. I had seen 2 nice bucks cross into the corn right at dark. This morning I saw this small doe down below me, and Dan had spotted a couple of smaller bucks over in the area that he was watching. And that was pretty much it for the morning. Looks good, Pat. Good job. And the race is on. Who could touch the top first? Pat's getting a saddle hunting crash course here. That afternoon, Pat and I decided to go below the camp and split up and hunt up in our saddles. One difficult thing on this trip was that there was a lot of area that was difficult to hunt with the saddle. We spent most of this trip hunting on the ground.
See what happens. He's kicking all the cows out. All right, it's day 4 in North Dakota. I just had a big, giant cow come by. 2 cows. I heard them come by and I thought it was a deer coming behind me down that run. There's a lot of cows in here. I'm up in the saddle, as you can see. And there is a creek down behind me. And there is a big, huge hill right here. There's a nice little area right here. And up in a tree, he just realized I was up here. That looks like an albino porcupine right there. Can't get on them anymore, but it's a white porcupine.
What's that?
They're moving fast.
Now. Maybe we let them bed and come up with a plan.
Yeah.
Dude, that one in the front is really nice. Yeah, that one in the front wasn't one of the original ones because the high tight 6-pointer is not there anymore. That one.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice rack. I think it's hard to tell from so far away, but I think it's one of the ones that I saw the other night.
Dude, that looks like a 130s.
First one has such a bigger body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one. Dude, we're onto a good one, guys.
The third one has a big body too.
The third one's got a pretty good rack too.
Is the middle
gotta be those same three. No, it's not. There's no high 6-pointer. This front 8 wasn't the first 3 that we saw. He wasn't in that group.
Yeah, somebody's got to be in that up at the top.
Yeah, but what if we just set up 3 wide in there?
Yeah, I could do something like that.
Because they're gonna have to go through there to get to the corner.
Yeah, so we gotta focus up high.
Yeah, exactly. I say we just go 3 wide.
The last one about the cross looks like a pretty big deer. It could be a whitetail in the fall.
Comes our funky rack elk again. What is he looking at? He's got a sparring buddy here. I think these two were just sparring up in the mountain a minute ago. He just covered up in animals this morning. That's crazy.
So we watched these 4 huge elk cross the river below us, and someone had a great idea to run down the hill and see how close we could actually get to these elk. And man, we got real close.
Look how huge he looks. Oh, that was worth it. That's awesome.
On the ride back to camp, we spotted this nice mule deer just inside the wood line. Once we got back, we made a plan on how we were going to make a move on the 3 bucks that we saw bed in early in the morning.
No, I thought you get jacked up to go hunting and you just sit there perfectly still with nothing going on. Like when I leave my house like 3:30 in the morning, drive down to Mass, I get so fired up, I have a fucking coffee and I'm just like, you guys are perfect.
Oh yeah.
All right, it is Tuesday night. We are spread out across this little draw here. So right below me it drops off. There is a draw right through here. It goes around. And there's a draw that comes right through here. And Dan is up around there somewhere up high. And Pat is up behind me around the corner. And we watched. Up there is a huge plateau that goes that way in the wide open. And we saw the 3 bucks this morning went across that plateau. They went down in here somewhere and they went up and over. Alright, well, good news is both Pat and Dan just got shots on bucks. Bad news is Pat thinks he missed. Dan is not sure, so we're about to go and check things out right now.
Was he a nice one? He was a good one, yeah.
You think you hit him in the liver?
I don't know. How far is the shot? I kind of do. I don't know, dude. That was by far the most insane hunt of my entire life.
Was it the big one? The bigger one we saw?
I don't know. It was a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He was an 8 or a 10. I was in their ground blind over there.
And dude, I was just watching those two mule deer. I had two huge mule deer at 60 yards. And I'm like, I gotta be looking for whitetails. Like, this is not what I'm here for. Sorry. I'm fucking rattled. So I look down into the valley below me. And you know how that draw goes right out? And it goes out?
Yeah.
He's coming right around this bend. And I'm like, oh, there's a deer. So I glass him, and I'm like, holy shit, that's a whitetail. And I was like, that's a nice buck. And I was like, oh my God, he's coming right to me. And I'm just like, please let this happen. And I'm like, he's like hundreds of yards away. So he starts going up the draw, and like, I have the hill behind me, and it kind of rolls. And I'm like, fuck, it is now or never. I was like, I gotta go. So I just jumped up and I just started running. I was sitting over there.
Yeah, but you saw him go that way.
He came up this draw, right? And I'm on that edge and I can see him in there. So I range this spot and it's 40. And I'm like, holy shit, but he's facing dead away. And I'm like, I gotta draw back and hope this works. So I draw back, he starts walking away. So I'm like, I'm just gonna walk. So I'm walking a full draw along like this. And I'm like, I think he's like 40. I was like, I have to maintain this distance so that I know what my distance is. And when he stops, he just goes like this. He sees me, and just goes, and I was like, get the fuck out of here. So I'm just like, dude, like, number one, I just ran, which I'm just like super rattled because this has been going. This whole thing took like, I don't know, 10 minutes from the first time I saw him, and I let it go, and I just heard, like it heard like it hit the deer, and I was like, holy shit, I got him. So he kind of did like a kick, and then he started running.
After being unsure about the hit, we decided the best thing was to back out and go back in the morning. We had the ranch owner and his wife over for dinner that night and talked about our plan for the next morning.
That one was right up next to her. It was a very, very weird thing.
Yeah.
All right, it's Wednesday. I'm gonna go head up and glass for a couple hours and then go drag Dan's buck out. That's the plan.
Dude,
Oh, I get great footage close up of them right now.
That's so fucking cool.
I got them on the face here. Wow, that is so
He's going
cool.
down there. Please just bed right there behind that bush.
Look at that. That's so cool.
I wonder if they're coming to the fucking river.
He's got a belly hanging on him.
Yeah.
He's sagging back. He's a 5-year-old.
Oh my God, look at his belly. His belly. It looks like he's pregnant.
I wonder if that's the big one we've been seeing there. That was a mule deer.
That is definitely the one in the picture.
After watching these 3 bucks bed,
He came like this.
No, I know.
we went and looked for Dan's deer and tracked the blood trail for a bit before Pat ended up jumping it out of its bed.
Oh, Pat just jumped this buck out of his bed. So we're thinking it was not a liver hit, but a muscle hit. I just jumped up and ran right out of here.
Realizing this is possibly not a fatal hit, we backed out. Pat and I went and shot our bows, and we came up with a plan to hunt the 3 bucks we saw bed in the morning. On our way in, we jumped these 2 elk right in the flat.
When it's 100 degrees, this is what happened to your candy bar. I don't know if you can see that. It's all melted up in there, so.
While Pat had one missed opportunity on a small buck, I had these few doe come out at different times. But later that evening, I watched the big buck come out of his big bedding area and slowly make his way over to the bottom of Pat's draw. It was too dark by the time the deer got there, and Pat had to back out and make his way up and over towards me.
Here comes Pat down the draw. He had to sneak out because going in for the last morning.
After a short morning hunt, Pat and I joined Dan for another search on his buck. We spent most of the morning looking for this deer, never coming across the blood trail or the deer again. Ironically, Dan came across this dead head of a whitetail that he found and while we were searching for his deer. A bittersweet end.
I think they get chewed up much here.
Yeah, that's true.
Hello there. Hello. That evening, we decided to finish off an amazing trip with dinner and drinks at the ranch owner's home. We got to dig through a whole bunch of his sheds that he's collected over the years. We got to see some amazing genetics. We had an amazing time on this trip, learned a lot, and definitely collected a lot of memories to take home.
I'm Ricky.
Yeah, there you go.